your attacks, nor or is his attacks warranted? You know what I'm saying?
Or would you ever allow him to do that?
Exactly, which is why I gotta have it. All right, shit. Richard Trey might have done something to piss you off, but I also know that Richard Trey will let you get them hands if it came to it. And I also know that if I was needed, they'll let me know.
Yes.
And like those situations, especially, and it goes back to what I said earlier. If you bringing up something like that about anybody, you saying it to me because you know I'm not okay with it. You know I'm not gonna be comfortable with it. If you think that I'm comfortable with you saying something about people that are close to me, then you've misread me. And anybody that is comfortable about you saying stuff that's close to them, well, there's a certain place for those type people. But there's certain people you're gonna say stuff about, and I'm not gonna give a single solitary fuck. And then there's people that I hold near and dear to me where if you say something about them, you're saying it because you know you're trying to get to me. You know for a fact you're trying to get to me. And I'm not gonna even. I mean, even as I say this now, yeah, I may not react, but I feel like at least to a certain level, if you aim at a mark and you hit it, I think I need to turn around and let you know that you hit your mark by me hitting mine. And I don't miss. So with that being
I knew you
said,
were saying some shit like that.
You know what I'm saying? so it's like, and that's why I say it's the double-edged sword, though, in a lot of situations, simply because, and I'm sure people that listen to these episodes know I love saying that, but it's like, on one hand, I need to let you know that it's not okay to do this, and I'm not okay with it, and I don't want you walking away thinking that it's cool and you can do it whenever. And the opposite side of that, I got a way, fight ignorance with ignorance, which is ignorant. All right, you did or said something that was ignorant. I can respond in an ignorant manner, and then we both out here looking equally as ignorant. And I don't like dropping down to people's level, but sometimes, as we've highlighted multiple times, there's that line, and when you step across it, I'm going to erase it and come at you in ways you didn't see coming,
or you be prepared for it.
Yeah, and I think people. Like, they never really expect that or prepare for it. They just expect for you to take it. And then when you don't, it's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And that goes to both of the situations we brought up. All right, you say something about a kid and she attack you when she see you. You knew you was getting them hands. You talk about a man's religion and his father, and then he step in the ring and plow his whole hand through your face multiple times. like he is actually dropping bombs on Baghdad. Like, what did you expect to happen?
When you start fucking around with the wrong people and they hit you with that Spodioidopalicious.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to hear.
Exactly, man.
I don't want
what happened.
I know for me, I don't. In my rule, I don't look for physical confrontations and do that. Like a lot of stuff that people say to me, I tend to ignore and try to, diffuse before having to engage.
Yeah.
But with that being said, there's also just a level of disrespect that I'm just not going to tolerate.
Yeah.
And I think that goes for anybody. There are certain things, and so much. It's not always what's said. It's just, the intent behind it. And to your point, as you said already, some people are saying this clearly to get a rise out of you, but that determination to get a rise out of you can also have adverse effects.
Yeah.
Because if you're willing to go to these lengths, when my mind, we could have just ended this, you could have walked away.
Yep.
You're really trying to hurt me. You're trying to insult me in the deepest way possible. And then hey, if you want the reaction, you can get it.
Yep. And man,
people need to think about that.
That brings up something very interesting too. Especially with me living in Florida, because this actually happened in Florida, and I was reading the news article. This guy was in this building. He wouldn't let these 3 teens on the elevator, although they lived in the building. They were college students.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's refusing them access to the elevator, he pulls out a handgun and has it behind him, although they can clearly see it. Now, everybody knows Florida has a stand your ground law. And we've seen when any aggressive action, whether you surrender during the action or whatever, somebody shoots you. And I won't even go so far into the details, but in certain cases, all of a sudden it's stand your ground, whether it's justified or not. So there's this big thing with baiting people into doing something aggressive just so that people can shoot them and then say they were standing their ground.
Mm-hmm.
And with what he was saying and doing, they would have been surely vindicated and just beating the holy hell out of dude. And that being that. But had they reacted aggressively, without a doubt, he would have opened fire on him and you might have had 3 dead people right there. And it's like, all right, do we go to the next level in this case, knowing that we would absolutely, positively be right in doing so? Or do we live to see another day? Because we can clearly see what his intent is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it really sucks when you're put in a position like that and the only option that you actually have is, to take the higher ground. Because people honestly get tired of being a bigger person. Especially, I can't remember the last truly physical confrontation I had where it came to blows. Because, I'm all about diffusing a confrontation before it happened to it. It's just so many ways to diffuse something before it get to that level. So it's like, if I've made it to the point where that's what I need to do,
yeah,
I know for a fact whatever drove me to that point was above and beyond. And a court of law, honestly, probably won't see it that way, like that way.
Fuck that, you're going to jail.
Yeah, because let's caveat that too, because I hate when people say, well, you know what, it's against the law. Something being against the law has never been the more high ground, all right? Because the law once said that we weren't equal. The law once said it was okay to kill Jews in Germany. The law has said a lot of things that isn't morally right. The law comes down to who's making those laws and the morals they stand on. And if we're judging that by the people that are morally sound in the U.S. government currently, hell, shit, you can practically do whatever and walk away with it according to the law. But being morally right in this nation and actually being right is not the same thing. You can know you're right and still be punished for it. And sometimes, that's the hill you got to die on. And I feel like, at least for me, and people know this about me in general, I feel like if it's a hill to die on, that's the one to die on. And that's exactly what, Habib did. If you're going to follow on your moral beliefs and principles and take it as far as it can go, that's the hill to die on. Simply because it speaks volumes to the culture. It speaks volume to your friends and family. It speaks volumes to your kids if you have them. If I died on the hill that had to do with where I stand morally, and I wasn't around for the rest of my son's life, and then he looked back on it and see what caused me not to be there.
Yeah,
I paid the ultimate price for what I believe in, and if that's the lesson I'm passing on, cool. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'll take that, because I would rather him take that from me than anything else.
Yeah, you raised a point about your son, because obviously it comes from, I guess, you're taught to deal with conflict from your parents largely, not all the time, but how do you teach your son, on how to deal with words? Because you don't want him to. You obviously want him to have a line, but you also don't want him fucking fighting all the time and getting expelled.
Yeah.
Just for somebody saying that he has cooties or something.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that? That's because it's tricky.
Yeah, I think I've been blessed in 2 ways. One, I have a large amount of transparency with my son that applies to me and his mother as well. So we'll talk about how he views things, how he feel about things. And what we like to do is engage critical thinking. Like we want to know how he feel about it, what he think about it, and how he chose to handle it. He already knows how we react in certain situations. And the other way I'm blessed in is the people that are around him as well, because we tend not to bring people around him that would conflict with how we view things, I guess. And I make that very clear, not just when it comes to the people that are around us, because that's rather easy actually, because we're just on both Tia's side and my side, like we're all rather similar. But I make sure I reiterate it to teachers, right? So if something going down and my son reacts a certain way, you can't expect for him to react a certain way, because I condone him reacting that way. All right. You don't have to agree with how he reacts. That's the parenting that I'm doing in my home, based off what I want my son to know, believe, and understand. And what it come down to with that is, I look at it from the perspective of how I was brought up, right? So like my grandfather, who I was around a lot, was born in 1919. So what he came up during, I can't even begin.
Old school imagine. Right there.
Yeah, like what he endured throughout his life, I can't even comprehend.
Right.
And when I combine that with how I was raised between my mother and my stepdad and my brother and everybody, like, in general, if you're wrong, you're wrong, and you know you're wrong. Like, we instill right and wrong. If you do something wrong for the right reason, you might be actually okay. Now, I'm not saying that we're condoning it, but more so saying there's a time to commit the wrong act for the right reason.
You understand it.
Yeah, exactly. And that goes back to, like, how I raise and teach Adonis. Like, knowing how to activate critical thinking and knowing those times are necessary is key. There's a time, you're being bullied, where you need to go and get the teacher and say, all right, this is what's going on. This is how I feel about it. I'd appreciate it if you do whatever. And there's a time where it's like, all right, you done tried your luck. We just about to throw these hands, whether I win or lose, and whatever's going to happen.
Yes.
And my main thing, and I tell teachers this all the time, like, I will give you all the opportunity to resolve things, because that's what educators in the system, are supposed to do. And they're heavily underpaid for the type of work that they have to conduct.
Shit, are they ever?
But once it's not diffused at that level, I'm not having a parent-teacher conference. We're having a parent-teacher-parent conference, because I'm going to be there. My son is going to be there. The other parent's going to be there, and their kid is going to be there, because I need to address them directly, because whatever this kid is doing has probably been instilled at him at home. Everything starts at home. And granted, that adds context a lot of time, because I remember, something happening with a friend of my son's, and one of the things my son said in relation to the event was that, and I mean, my son is very intuitive, so he observes stuff like this. He was like, I don't really think this kid's dad care about him.
Damn.
And we sat there and talked about it for a minute. I asked him why. He was like, well, usually he do stuff, and not only did nothing happen, but his dad are usually around and stuff like that. So like he has enough context to be able to make that judgment, although at the time he's 10-year-old. And he's also saying that from the context of, he knows how I act, knowing that I do care.
Yes.
Right. So there's a clear compare and contrast there. And that's where that parent-teacher-parent conference come in, because I might be able to see those parents, or lack thereof, or legal guardian or whatever, and see, this kid may be catching hell at home, or getting his ass beat, or being abused, or whatever that's causing him to take, certain aggressions out at home. And in that case, I might speak to that kid directly and let him know what's up. But I'm mostly going to address that individual that's the guardian, and let them know that 9 times out of 10, the way this kid is acting is likely due to whatever they're doing. Because my son, on no day of the year, would believe certain things okay, or believe that he wasn't going to be reprimanded for doing certain things. But with that being the case, I mean, cause and effect. From the time a child comes out of the womb, and I tell everybody this because it annoys me with parents in general. From the time a child come out of the womb, that their entire subconscious is already formed. They may not be able to